Another Serie A season has come and gone here on the Calcio Guys. Season 6 that we just completed. Just myself, Nicholas, and Adreano tonight. Adrian, how's it going?
It's going good. We're missing one more, but we're gonna have to do without him for now.
He,
Gianni, if you're
he's here
listening
in
to this,
spirit.
exactly. He's here in spirit. If you're listening to this, Gianni, we love you. But no, guys, Serie A team of the seasons, Culture Guys edition, recap, roundup, the whole nine. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and we're actually recording 2 episodes tonight. So you're going to hear this one first. We're going to publish this one first, episode 228. And then Alessandro Rafa is going to come on after we're done this, episode 229. We'll publish that a couple of days later. So if you're listening to this, stay tuned for episode 229. We'll talk some Inter. We'll talk some Mazzurri. Call-up list. I'm super excited for the Euros. It's bringing back some good memories from 3 years ago. Like we were here, doing the same thing, talking, giving all these previews 3 years ago. But and also Inter won the Scudetto 3 years ago, Adri. So maybe it's maybe Italy will run it back, but we'll see. I don't know if you remember when we recorded the episode on August 14th, 2023, when we did our season preview. I don't know if you remember who we gave as our top 4 predictions, our Scudetto predictions. But we have good ball knowledge because if you listen back to that episode, which you could listen still on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, some of our predictions were pretty correct, Adri. Except for yours, though. Except for yours.
Yeah, mine were rough.
I actually have the clip here. So we gave our top 4. So me and Gianni both said Inter as Scudetto winners. Adri, you took a different path.
For me, I'm probably still sticking with the Milan, Inter, Napoli, and Lazio top 4. I'm just not set in stone how I want to see that place. Well, obviously I want to see Milan first, but how they're actually going to be placed, it remains to be seen for me. For me, I'm probably still sticking with,
So, there you had it.
Wrong.
Milan, Inter. You said Milan, Inter, Napoli, and Lazio. Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Or Milan, Napoli, Inter, Lazio. You
No,
just played
no,
before,
no,
but
no. Inter second.
yeah,
Inter second.
yeah, that's it.
I had Milan, Inter, Napoli, Lazio. I'm pretty sure what it was. Guys, I don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't my year. It wasn't my year this year. It was pretty clear. I mean, I got 2, but 50%, but still not a passing grade.
All in the wrong position, though.
Yeah, Napoli did us all dirty, and obviously Lazio didn't do what I thought they could have done. Which I don't know. I in the beginning I kind of liked where they were headed, and it seemed to go a different route. So, and same thing for Napoli. So I'm gonna have to eat it for this one, but I'm hoping for next year to be better.
Credit to Gianni though, because he's always the best predictor. Honestly, if you listen, you could listen back to our previous 227 podcasts. Whatever he says, it's the truth because he always has these. It seems like it's outlandish claims at first, and then you look back, it's like
Johnny's
right.
Johnny's like a unicorn, like you know what I mean. Like he like Nostradamus, we call him Nostradamus, as we say. But no, Johnny always hits something on the head. If it be Torino way back when, if it be Bremer, if it be the list goes on for his
Chiesa.
type of Chiesa, of course. His predictions are always not the favorites when they first come out, but later on, if you go back to the archives and you go fishing for those archives and those receipts, Johnny is there with the best prediction. So yeah,
I think that Inter managed to keep what worked for them and got rid of what wasn't working for them. The whole the whole freaking Lukaku saga, like that's problematic on its own. But in my personal opinion, like if he's gone, it's a bit of a headache out of the room. And I think they already seem to have found their replacement. So
I just want to play other clips. That was from our preview episode back in August. I want to play other Gianni predictions from August. Listen to this one, Adri.
I don't know, Johnny. I'll let you go first on this. I don't know.
I don't see Di Laurentiis sacking Rudy Garcia in this season, unless like he really sabotages the team and they're like
Yeah,
looking at the lower part of the top 10. Atalanta though would be the sleeper pick though.
yeah,
Atalanta would be the team that a lot of teams are going to have to watch out for. They've been adding a lot. They've like some key additions. I really am excited to see what Skamaka can do in the league.
Gianni.
Unbelievable. He gets it on the head every single time. You know, called out Atalanta's a sleeper pick for the top 4. Called out Garcia. Pretty much predicted exactly how he's going to get fired. You know,
Yeah,
bottom half of
yeah,
the table.
the top
He
10. Yeah,
sabotages the team and he gets fired. Yeah. And this is, if you listen back to our preview episode, this is actually my favorite part, and it's right at the end of the episode too. It's kind of a joking matter too. Got the Saputo on the shirts this year for Bologna. I think we're gonna all pull for them. It kind of reminds me of a vintage Montreal Impact shirt from the 90s. And they look clean, those jerseys. Maybe I'll have to order one. Maybe they're everyone's underdog. Shout out Nick Gianni. Shout out Nick Gianni indeed. They were everyone's underdog this year. And as we get into our
yeah,
team of the season predictions, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of not predictions, team of the season nominations.
yeah.
There's going to be a lot of Bologna talk. But AJ, looking back on some of those clips from what 9 months ago, looking
Jesus.
back on the season, like what did you make of this whole Serie A season?
No, craziness. Like we always say, it, guys. It's never kind of what you think it is, even unless you're Gianni Delicoli and you know something that everybody else doesn't. But no, like listen, from year to year, we've been fortunate enough to see different Serie A seasons with different results, different champions. The last the last 4 years we've had no, the last 5 years we've had 4 different champions. Well, Inter winning it twice, but with Juve to Inter to Milan to Napoli and now back to Inter, it's finally back to Serie A in terms of competitiveness, and you never can really predict what's going to go on. It's been a hell of a season. Obviously, Inter kind of pulled the Napoli of last year, kind of pulling away when it mattered most later on in the season, and kind of ran away with the Scudetto. And fair play to them. We've said it time and time again on the show. As much as it pains us to say, we give the credit there. And even in Europe, I mean, Atalanta doing it, winning, Europa League. Not only an underdog, I guess, in the league, but even an underdog in Europe. Coming home with a trophy. The first ever for them in Europe, and Gasperini and all that. So, I guess the biggest surprise was obviously Bologna, as we've said countless time on the podcast. Just what they've been able to do. And also now coming now to the end of the season, just the relegation battle. Like this weekend was crazy. We saw we saw joy, and then we saw tears. In the same match, in that Udinese Frosinone game. Frosinone going down alongside Sassuolo and Salernitana. So it's been up and down year. I think for our teams, that we support, it's been not the best of years, but again, something to build off of, and hopeful for the future. But every I don't know. For me, every season is an exciting one. Can't wait to get into the grips of things. It gives us content to talk about and to post about and to grow with our socials. So man, just could have asked for a better ending, but I guess we're gonna have to wait another year for that. And just it's been a great year overall. You?
I mean, I think the story of the season is just obviously besides Inter, running away with the Scudetto, it's Bologna. The feel good story. First time in Champions League since what, the 60s? What was
61. I think it was 61.
Exactly. And so, this is a team that obviously has a connection to Montreal. It's good to see. On one hand, we're happy for Joey Saputo and his basically his main team now. And then on the other hand, as CF Montreal fans, it's frustrating because he neglects this team here in Montreal. So it's also mixed feelings about that situation if you're a CF Montreal fan, because you see success on one side, you're like, hey, let's do that here too. Obviously we're not making UEFA Champions League here in Montreal, but let's go out and win the CONCACAF Champions League that we were close to 9 years ago. Anyways, I digress. Obviously as a UVA fan, one thing I did say in the episode back in August, I said it's gonna be a boring season as a UVA fan, without obviously
Europe.
without Europe. But I think overall it was an interesting season, but it's not one to remember. I'm excited for next season. Whoever the coach may be at this point, it's looking like Mata, but Champions League, they're going to be playing the Supercopa, Club World Cup at the end of the next season. I don't have that much expectation in terms of trophies, but it's just going to be fun to take part in those competitions again. Especially Champions League, and 4 other Italian teams in Champions League, this new format. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, that's it. We might as well move on to our team this season, Adri. Well, I don't know. Let's go position by position. We'll start with our goaltender.
Yeah.
I know Gianni sent his. I think I'll put it up on the screen, but we'll also go through his. Goalkeeper. I mean, he took Summer. I took Summer. Who did you take?
I took Summer as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
I think
summer.
You not hopefully for the Azzurri. Unanimous there, guys. I think and I know many people were going bananas on the Serie A's position by position MVPs. Best goalie, best midfielder, best attacker, best young player, league MVP, coach of the year, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure they gave it to Di Gregorio, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
For best keeper. Again, maybe one of the honorable mentions down the list. I know you put Milinkovic-Savic. I think he was second in clean sheets, if I saw that correctly.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
I saw that. Yeah, Skorupski had a decent year. There was other keepers that had obviously decent years, but unanimous, I think, is Sommer. New club, new league, fit right in like a glove. Didn't miss a beat. 19 clean sheets. I mean, what more could you ask? I mean, Provedel had a hell of a year. What was it, last year with the clean sheets? So wasn't champion, but still, I think Sommer, just unanimous.
You want to take it away with your defenders?
So I have 4 defenders, and I think Gianni does as well. I believe you have 3, if I'm not mistaken. I think you and I with a 3 back. So for me, my 4 defenders, I would have liked to have had a right back, left back, and 2 center backs. I have 2 left backs. It's the 2 best left backs in the league. People are going to argue who's better, who's worse. For me, it's still Teo as the better one. But again, DiMarco, you say DiMarco, it's not like you're talking, a different language. So for me, in my defender slots, I have Teo and DiMarco on the wing back slots, or like left back, right back. And then I have in the middle between them at center backs, I have Bastoni and Buongiorno. I think, Bastoni always been a reliable defender in the back, can get forward, has a hell of a cross as well. Defensively, he's pretty sound with that back line. And Buongiorno, I think, just had a season that I don't think many people expected. Torino, I think that's where they finished 9th or 10th or whatever it was. They finished in the top half of the table, so decent for them. But Buongiorno, I think, was the standout. Hoping to see him get minutes in the Euros. I would like to see even that partnership, maybe Bastoni and Buongiorno in that mix of center backs. So just from the tackles, that he had all throughout the year, I don't think he barely missed a match. Again, Mr. Reliable for Torino, and for that, I'm taking Buongiorno to round up the defense for me.
Buongiorno.
I
know Gianni also took him. Nehan Perez, Teo Hernandez, and Federico DiMarco. So pretty similar on his part. And for me, yeah, I did go through the back. I just went 3, center backs. I was thinking about Buongiorno, but I figured Gianni took him. I didn't know you actually took him. I when I first thought of him, I thought, okay, this is going to be a pretty unique nomination for a team this season. But then you guys also saw that. Today I was looking at the stats, and Torino's defense, they surprised me. I didn't realize how just solid they were. Up there with some of the best, defense in the league. Like I said, Milinkovic-Savic, second in clean sheets. So, that's obviously he's a good goalkeeper, but that's also a shout out to his defense. You can have the best goalkeeper in the world, but if you don't have a good defense, he's still going to let in goals. But I went with Bastoni, Calafiori, and Acerbi actually with Inter. I felt like with Inter, the way they played the season, I think obviously they finished with the least amount of goals against. I know there was a lot of I want to say hate against Acerbi in the past few years, but after the Euros, he kind of dipped in form. But I think this year he was really strong. He just brought that veteran presence to Inter. And then Bastoni brought the young presence. And then obviously, I named Calafiori and him just outstanding season for Bologna. And, Juve will be lucky if he ends up there next season. And it's nice to see 3 Italian guys too on this list, 3 guys that are likely going to be in the Euros. When I normally do these team of the seasons, I do more of a back 3 just because it is a bit harder for defenders. Obviously you could look at more stats like, tackles made or whatever. You don't want to just go by assists and goals because a defender wants to, they're supposed to defend, right? But these 3 guys for me were, cut above the rest in terms of defense. But hey, shout out to Buongiorno as well.
Yeah. Moving on to the mid, I guess. If you want to start that.
Yeah, sure, why not? So I'll start with mine. So you're not gonna like this one, Adrian Rabiot. And then obviously Goodmanson, Hakan, and okay, I kind of cheated here. I put Dybala as an attacking mid. He's technically forward. He's listed as forward. I kind of cheated. I put him there. I think he led the league in assists, if I'm not mistaken, Dybala.
I think Leao had 9. Did Dybala also have 9? Yeah, Leao had 9.
Yeah. So I felt like he still deserved to be there. He
scored a lot though.
Yeah, he scored a lot. Exactly. He almost had. It was almost a 10-10 season for him. So I felt like he was there. Even if you look back at the Serie A Player of the Month, I think he got 1 or 2 throughout the season. Rabiot, he's a player. He's a polarizing player. A lot of people like to shit on him on Juve Twitter, but he plays his role fantastic with Juve. He's an absolute horse. He runs all over the place all the time. I personally love watching him this season, and just the fact that he was named the Serie A team of the season as well. Like he obviously didn't get the individual award, but in their team of the season that they teamed up with EA, he was on there. Yeah. So clearly someone knows and recognizes his talent. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people from Woodbridge, Ontario, who don't. So I'm throwing it in there just as a defense from my friends on Juve Twitter. So he's in there. Like I said, Goodmanson, 14 goals, 4 assists, absolutely incredible season for Genoa. They come back up to the Serie A. They finished, I think it was 11th, if I remember correctly. They finished. So he
49 points.
Yeah, exactly. So he's another player that he was a leader there. God knows where he'll end up next season. I don't know if they'll cash in on him or whatnot. Yeah, that's it for me. And then obviously Hakan, he ended up winning Serie A midfielder of the season. So I think that's something. Again, every position group, I had at least one Inter player. Goes to show they're the best team in the league. They won the Scudetto. I think it would be unfair to have, 0 Inter midfielders. I even thought about Barella, but just because he's so consistent year in and year out. But at the same time, was he one of the best this season? Probably not.
Not really.
But
Yeah.
he's just consistently good. And he's
Yeah.
been like that for what? 3-4 seasons? I forget when he joined Inter. It was the season before
Even
Italy won the Euros, right? So it was 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
pandemic, was it pandemic already? I don't remember if it was that. No, it was before that, I think, right?
Oh, he's been
2019?
with them since 2019. Wow.
Yeah, 2019. I was gonna say, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I mean, even with Cagliari, I mean, he was
He was good.
touted as he was touted as like the the next upcoming star. And listen, he made that move, he made that jump, and I think well, I don't even think it has panned out for him, even though he's on
Yeah.
Inter. I mean, it has panned out for him. He has two Scudetti, Coppa Italia, Supercoppa. He has a Euro to his name. I think you nailed it on the head. Consistency is his thing. I think he had 2 goals, 3 assists. Not his flashiest of years in terms of numbers, but yeah, Barella is always it's kind of like Mr. Reliable in the midfield. You kind of always want him around, but I agree with you in terms of was he the quote unquote best? Maybe not, but definitely consistent. I agree on that.
You wanna say Gianni's mids?
I don't have Giants in front of me, so I'll let you say
Okay.
them.
I'll go. Let me just pull it
I know
up.
I know one of them, but I don't remember
Yeah.
the rest.
Goodmanson, Hakan, and Toin Koopmeiners.
Those are his 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I had 2 of those same ones as well. Coop Miners as my first mid, 12 goals for him. I think about 5-6 assists, if I'm not mistaken, in Serie A. For a midfielder, it's pretty crazy to get those types of numbers, and he kind of played a bit all over. Got rewarded with obviously the Europa League at the end, getting into top 4. They still have another game to play against Fiorentina June 2nd, which can leapfrog Atalanta over Juve to get into 3rd place, potentially if they get all 3 points. So successful season, in terms of Atalanta's run. And I think Koolminers had a big part of that. It's obvious when there's links to him. Every time there's a mercato approaching summer, now winter, now back to summer that we're going into, Koolminers' name has been around the rumor mill quite a bit. And I think it's with merit. He's such a great player. And again, we'll see if he stays at Atalanta. He's another one. Like I said, he's potentially on the move. I don't know, but if he stays at Atalanta, I think it's great for him. Hopefully, he can build off of this. 12 goals is, like I said, nothing to laugh about in terms of as a midfielder. So shout out to Coop Miners. Hakan, yeah, again, not a fan of him. Obviously, he was a pylon for Milan, but with the blue and black, he's been obviously an improved player. He's found the system that works for him, found the position that works for him. 13 goals, I think it was for him in the Serie A, with I believe 3 or 4 assists. So stats wise, with the numbers, pretty productive year. Like you said, Nick, he was voted Serie A's midfielder of the year. Even though their selections were a bit all over the place this year, I think that's one of the ones that they got right. As much as it pains us to say, but no, Hakan's in there. And for me, I went kind of like a Cam as well. And again, I guess I kind of cheated too, but he did play there a couple times in the year. People are going to say it's a homer pick. It's a bit of a biased pick, but I'm going to go Pulisic. 12 goals, 8 assists in the Serie A. 20 points in the Serie A. I forget what he had in other competitions, but he had a hell of a year. Coming again from Chelsea, new league, new team, new system, new language, new tactics, new everything. And I think he, like Sommer, he pretty much fit in right away. He scored opening match day against Bologna, and he had pretty big moments throughout the year. I know people are going to say, Milan's season didn't reflect what their players did on the pitch, but I think there were certain players on Milan that had a season above the rest, and I think Pulisic, deserves to be in the mix of it. So I have him as my Cam behind in front of Hakan and Koopmeiners. I think all of them were productive in terms of goals, in terms of assists, in terms of presence. These guys, unless they were injured, they were in the lineup, week in, week out. They're pretty much unplayable. So those are my three midfielders: Koopmeiners, Hakan, and Pulisic to round out the midfield.
And lastly, up front, for Gianni, he went for Giroud, Dybala. So he put Dybala as a forward, and obviously the obvious one for the three of us, we obviously have Lautaro. I mean, that's a given on every single team this season that anybody does on any podcast. Lautaro has to be there. He's the MVP. I know that the Serie A, their individual awards. We talk about this every year. Sometimes a player wins, let's say the MVP, but then in their position, the individual award, it goes to someone else. Or always like,
what the hell?
How can the MVP not to be the best forward? But it's a Serie A. That's just what they do. They don't give more than one award for a player. So,
I guess it makes it fair, but at the same time, I think they should, like, I don't know. It's tough. It's kind of like, what was it? The Cheeto year where he should have been MVP. I thought when he matched Higuain's record, he got best attacker, which, okay, that makes sense, but I think he should have been league MVP. They gave it to, I think, Ronaldo that year. I think they should have just swapped it. Like, you know what I mean? Like what was it? Last season they gave it
last season. It was Kvaratskhelia won MVP, but then best young player went to Fajoli, and then
Osimhen won best forward.
Best forward.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's technically called best striker, so that you can make more of an it's more of an argument. Whatever. Kvicha isn't exactly your typical number 9, but yeah, the fact that Dusan won best striker this year when clearly Lautaro was the best striker. He won Capocannoniere.
24 goals, yeah.
But
I guess
it kind of devalues the award a bit.
Yeah, they had to give the MVP to somebody, and I think if they were gonna go put Lautaro at best striker, who are you really gonna put as MVP?
Just give him both awards.
Give him both awards. No, I agree. But no, it's tough. I don't know. I know Vlahovic was second? Was he second or third? No, I think he was second on the goal charts, right? On the Capocannoniere race with 18 goals. I think that number looks good on paper. I think that number looked better on paper than what it matched in terms of his performances week in and week out, if that makes sense. He scored 18 goals, but if you score in
the stretch,
if you have bunches, I don't know, guys. I mean, Giroud had 15 goals. Osimhen had 15 goals that they were right there too. Were they more impactful? I don't know. Listen, it is what it is. We're not going to go crazy over it, but Lautaro definitely has to be in there. So, Johnny, had who you said? Lautaro, Giroud, and
Dybala.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and so I went Xerxes, Lautaro, and I put Lookman there. I wanted to give, I know this is Serie A team this season, but the fact that he puts Atalanta on his back last week in the Europa League final,
amazing.
He deserves it. He deserves it. He still had 10 goals, 4 assists. I was thinking Orsolini, then I looked him up, 10 goals, 2 assists. Okay, 10 goals, 4 assists is better than 10 goals, 2 assists. Okay, 3 goals in the Europa League final is better than no goals in the Europa League final. So you know what? Let me put Lookman there for Atalanta.
Trophy, no trophy.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? He deserves it. Absolutely amazing performance. I think the only other players who have scored 3 goals in a European final, I think, was Zidane, Puskas, and Di Stefano from the old Real Madrid player. So for him to be mentioned amongst those 3 other players is incredible. So you know what? He deserves it. You, Adrian, how about your 3 forwards?
Yeah, so
or 4.
No, 3. For I was debating because I had some honorable mentions, and I had some, this or that kind of selections where instead of Pulisic, I was going to maybe put Dybala. So I had Dybala as another shot there. I put him again. I don't think it's. I guess maybe would have been cheating to put him in at the mid as a cam, but I think they're both interchangeable there. So even Lewis Ferguson, not the stats weren't all there in the mids, but again, just a presence. He was a hell of a player for Bologna as well this season. So yeah, that was for that. But for forwards, yeah, Lautaro's the obvious one. Like we said, 24 goals. Best forward, MVP of the league, whatever you want to call it. He was. For me, I'm putting Giroud. Like I said, 15 goals. I think he had like 8 assists too. I think he had like some crazy. Pretty sure he had like 7, 8 assists if I'm not mistaken as well. Clutch throughout the year for Milan in all competitions pretty much. Had his farewell. In a great way. He scored. Got his send off in a right way. Him, Simon Kjær, obviously Pioli as well, and I think they did that right. And I was hopeful that they would do that, and I'm glad they did. I think they all deserved it, even though people might have opinions about them, or if it be Giroud, if it be Kjær was a bit more of a minor piece, but I think just his longevity with the club in this stretch was big, and Pioli, obviously, people have mixed emotions for him. So, but in terms of Giroud, I think he was, for an aging player, kind of like Fabio Quagliarella back, a handful of seasons ago, just aging like fine wine, still scoring at a high level, still being in the lineup pretty much week in, week out. So yeah, Giroud for me deserves it as another forward. And the last one, maybe it's recency bias, but I think even though it is a bit more recent, he, in my opinion, still had a good season statistically. He improved mentally throughout the season. I think it was a grind. So I'm putting Scamacca as my last forward. For me, it was a toss up between him and Zirkzee. If you want to go just by stats, the Vlahoviches of the world and maybe the Osimhens of the world in terms of goals. But I'm putting Scamacca, 12 goals in Serie A as well, 6 in Europa League trophy, obviously Europa League trophy. He was huge. Got a couple of assists in all competitions as well. I think he had an overall good campaign. Could have been better. I think if he had probably a better start, but again, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And I think Scamacca was embodied that saying. So we're hopeful for him to carry this over to the Euros. He seems eager and he seems hungry, and I think whatever was said about him in terms of that outside noise, if it be Spalletti, if it be Gasperini, that told him, hey, listen, you got to wake the fuck up. He woke up, and we hope he stays awake, for another couple months until we finish the Euro. So, those are my 3: Lautaro, Giroud, and Scamacca is going to round it off for me for forwards.
If you look at the Capocannoniere race, I was looking at this today. I'll just pull it up, but I'll bring up another topic first regarding goals scored. Another thing from our first episode, Adri, you asked over under 15 goals on Vlahovic. How many goals Vlahovic will score over under 15? Listen to it. What I had to say.
Does he get double-digit goals though? Do you guys see that?
I think he can still get double-digit goals. I think he stays in the teens. I don't think he's going to get in the 20s. Is what I'm saying.
Oh no! I would be shocked if he gets to the 20s, Nick. I don't know if you agree or disagree on that.
I say 15 goals for Vlahovic.
15,
which I think will be fine, but for the amount of money they paid for him, you need him. You need him in the Capocannoniere race, but
I say under 15.
So I said 15. He got 16. So you know
18,
what?
18.
It was 18.
I think it was 18. No, I saw on the score it was 18. Unless I'm mistaken.
No, 16 according to on the Lega Serie A website. Maybe it was 18 on comps.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but what's crazy, Adri? Top 10 Serie A scores, 0 Italians, 0
Really?
Italians up. Scamacca, he's
Scamacca
right
just missed
outside of it.
out. Yeah,
Well,
11.
sorry, he could actually. Sorry, this is a lie. Season's not done. We're doing this, and the season's not done.
True, he can still score.
He can still score on Sunday.
That's true. Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
will even play. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of rest those Euro players, but it's pretty crazy. They still have to play the game June 2nd, and Italy's game is in less than 2 weeks after that.
And they have
against Albania.
the pre-tournament matchup.
Yeah,
as
next
well.
week
I think
also.
they play. What is it? The 9th and the 4th or something, or the 5th or something, something like that. So it's cutting it close. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't get put in, but we'll have to wait and see.
I was just looking the last time. So last year, Berardi finished 9th. Immobile finished 10th in scoring. The year before that, Immobile finished as capocannoniere in 2020, 2021. Thank you, Serie A website, for being so slow. Immobile 5th. So you have to go back a long time to see the last time 0 Italians finished in the top 10. I can't even think of it off the top of my head just because Immobile has been so consistent with that, right?
Yeah.
As the Italian goal scorer.
Even if you go 7-8 years, I think. What has it been? 7 years?
Immobile, I think, came back 2016.
6? 8?
He was back in 2016. He finished 6th with 23 goals. Even if you look at the 15-16 season, you want to guess who the high scoring Italian was in the 15-16 season?
Was it a bit of this?
No. That was actually my first
earlier.
thought loading the page
That's
too.
Earlier, right? Luca Toni was a bit earlier, right? 14, 13? What was that when he had a hell of a year? I forget. It was
I thought it was 15-16 also. But maybe it was 14-15 then.
Maybe it was 14-15. But who was it then? Italian-wise?
The top scoring Italian.
Oh, man.
And it's not Gallo Bilotti or Insigne, I'll tell you that. Or Candreva or Gilardino.
Oh, my God. You gave me like all the names. Fuck. Now I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.
Leonardo Pavoletti.
Pavo goal was the top Italian goal scorer. How many goals?
14.
14. Jesus
By the way,
Christ.
Luca Toni, it was 14-15 that he scored 22.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just his birthday, so shout out to Luca Toni. So I had him on my mind, and I remember those types of years. Hellas Verona, still scoring, still doing his typical celebration there. So but that's crazy. I don't know if this season not having an Italian in the top 10 should be a scary thing or what, but listen, it's clear that this league has thrived with their foreign players, especially lately, and in the past. Like I know, obviously, we've had a couple of Italians in that top 10 list of top scorers, but the guys, it's not back in the days, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, where it was, some of these Italian strikers and forwards were ridiculous. So and scoring at a high level. So, it is what it is. I think even our foreign players bring excitement to the league. They bring quality to this league. So I think I guess it is what it is. And, we've evolved from those times. So it kind of is what it is. I guess it's a numbers thing also, and maybe it's just a quality too. Listen, guys, we haven't had, besides Immobile in the league, like who was really Gallo Bilotti had, that stretch of, a couple of years there, but like we haven't had like a solid like 5 Italians that were like constantly like scoring like crazy. Yeah, we had like seasons where maybe a couple of them overlapped, Quagliarella, if it'd be Bilotti, if it'd be, even Balotelli back in the days, whoever, maybe Immobile, but like consistently for like a stretch of like even 5, 6 years, 7 years, having like a handful of core Italian players that were scoring at high levels. I don't know if we've seen it. Like again, I don't have all the stats in front of me. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but I don't know. It doesn't seem it didn't seem that way. But hey, it is what it is.
I was just looking back at top scores in Serie A. You go back to the 2010-2011 season. Di Natale 28 goals, Cavani 26, Eto'o 21, Matri 20, Marco Di Vaio 19 goals,
Shout out.
Pazzo Pazzini 17, Totti 15, Pato 14, Ibra 14, Robinho 14, and then
Those were the
Alexis
days.
Sanchez. Even Alexis Sanchez 12 goals.
Udinese?
So yeah, he was at Udinese at that point.
Those
Yeah.
were the days, man. See,
Yeah.
those were the days. I know that's the tens, but still, even before
Long
that
time
were the
ago.
days. But those were
Long
the
time
days,
ago.
man. Look at those 28 goals by Toto Di Natale. Like, those were the days, man.
Yeah, he followed that up with 23, but Zlatan took it personally, and he scored 28 the next season in 11-12. And even that there was some consistent strikers in those years. Even Cavani, he 29 in
Cavani,
2013. Like, come
incredible
on.
player. Incredible player.
Yeah.
Before we round this all up, coach. Yeah, manager, top coach.
Thiago Motta. It has to be. Like, what he did with Bologna this season. Like, I was thinking about Inzaghi, again, won the Scudetto and everything, but what Motta did with Bologna, I'm not saying the players are bad. Obviously, he has good players, but he's not given the absolute budget of Roma, of Lazio, even of Juve for what he did to bring them into the top five is incredible. So for me, it's him. And I know Gianni went for Gasperini.
Hipster.
He went for Gasperini with Motta as a very close second.
Yeah. No, listen, for me, it was a toss-up as well. I'm going to go, and I know we have to say Inzaghi's name when we're talking about all this. He got it in terms of Coach of the Year for Serie A. They named him it. What he was able to do and what he has been able to do. I think it's he's gotten a trophy every season that he's been there at Inter now. I believe it's been what, 2?
I think so.
Years
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
No, it's 2 years now. He's there, right? This is his second season.
I think he came after Conte, in 2021.
So yeah, third season. Right? Yeah, sounds about right. It's third season.
Third season. Yeah.
Third season. I'm pretty sure he's had a trophy like every season that he's coached.
Yeah, exactly. Because last
Scudetto,
year was
Coppa Italia, Supercoppa. He's won one of, if not both, in multiple years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, in his first season, he won both the
Coppa Italia,
Coppa Italia, and the Supercoppa. In his first 2 seasons.
Okay.
Won both trophies, and then obviously the Scudetto this year. Did they win the? They won the Supercoppa this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did. So yeah, like for what he's not only this season, the biggest cherry is obviously the Scudetto, and that's great and that's fine, and I think he deserves all the credit. Which again, I'm gonna eat my words because I have not been a big fan of Inzaghi, especially in the past. He's proven me wrong. I can say that for at least these seasons. But not only, I think this season he really proved me wrong, just for the fact that he was finally able to get over the hump. He was finally able to become a Serie A champion. This is one thing he was missing in terms of winning trophies in Serie A. He was missing that Scudetto. Obviously, the Lazio years, what he was able to do there. Now with Inter, great. He's improved, and I think as a manager, as a tactician, he's been improving every year. So for me, that deserves a shout for sure. I'm still gonna stick with Thiago Motta because that's what I have written. That's the one I have both their names written down, but I have Motta's ahead of Inzaghi on my paper here. But I think well, you kind of said it, and we've said it. Like I always say at timeless times on the show, but Motta again improved as a manager. Was with this Bologna side, incredible season. They're going to Champions League. It's a shame that it ultimately looks like he won't be there, and I think it's only a matter of time until we see him, at in Torino with Juve. But just what he's been able to do, the sheer brilliance with Bologna has been incredible to watch, incredible to speak about, pretty much on almost on a weekly basis on the show here. So, just elevating players, not only transfer value wise, but just even statistically, confidence wise, attitude. He's really had everybody buy into the system, and it's taken flight, like we said, and it's been incredible, like I said, to watch. So Thiago Motta for me gets Coach of the Year, but I think with somebody saying Thiago Motta and saying Inzaghi, I think it's like a 1A, 1B. You can really say either or. It's really just maybe a preference at that point, and maybe kind of where your heart lays, and maybe like what attracts you more to what was like the feats that were accomplished by each of these managers. So for me, like I said, Thiago Motta rounds out our coaches of the year.
So that'll do it. That will do it for us tonight on episode 228. We'll be back in
Yes,
about
sir.
5 minutes to record episode 229. But if you're listening to this, where can people find us on social media?
Guys, follow the Calcio Guys. Listen, it's very, very simple. We say it every week. We appreciate all the love, support, engagement that we've gotten yet again through another successful Serie A campaign on our end. Listen, guys, we love to do this. We love to, continue, talking to different people, shooting the shit amongst ourselves, putting out content. So to help us continue to do that, continue to follow. Make sure you follow on all socials at the Calcio Guys. For the audio version of the podcast, we say it every week. Anywhere you find the podcast, you can find the Calcio Guys. Make sure to subscribe to that. Rate us with 5 stars. Leave a comment. All these things, guys, go a long way for us to improve. And, it doesn't go unnoticed, the appreciation, that we get for things like this. So do all that good stuff for video content of the pod, any lives, any clips of the pod, YouTube shorts. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, guys. That's where you can find us for all the video content. Subscribe, post notifications. Again, like, share it, comment, all that good stuff, guys. Continue to do so. Serie A season may be over. We have the Euros coming up. It's a bit of a hectic summer for us personally as well, travel-wise. But we're just super eager and pumped for the Euros. So expect some content for that as well. And you have to continue to follow, subscribe, and like, and do all that good stuff to keep up with us. So, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for listening.